Welcome to TARTLEcast with your hosts Alexander McKegg and Jason Rigby, where humanity steps into the future and source data defines the path.
Welcome back, everyone, to a fresh episode of TARTLEcast. I can tell.
Do you like that noise?
Are you good over there with that thing?
Dude, it was like I had droopy mic syndrome.
That's why we got those new arms. But Jason and I are intellectually incapable of doing electrical wiring. So, yep, you'll see those later. But you know what everyone dislikes? The car buying experience.
Yes.
They just generally dislike it. You know, when people walk into the dealership, they're just defensive.
Mm-hmm. And then you got the guy, like putting a cigarette out on its palm. Can't wait. He just studied a closing technique.
Yeah, no, see, this is what I mean. Before the buyer goes in, they're studying techniques to close the deal, right? They're also studying the car, and they think they know literally everything before they walk in.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they're coming in like intellectually, pseudo loaded in their mind, saying, "I got this in the bag."
Yeah,
and he can't look weak in front of his spouse.
Yes,
or vice versa. It's like, I got to do this for everybody. This is for the family. Give me that Toyota van for my tissue. I wanted a tissue price.
Yeah. Plus, their whole idea of being non-transparent, like that. That's a dealership makes their most profit when they have somebody just sign on the dotted lines and not care or think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have a problem with something called the internet that hit this industry is now everything is transparent. It's
becoming very transparent. And the key leader we've seen in this, especially in the data sense, has been Carvana.
Yes.
You've seen the ads. It's the white, tow truck essentially.
Right.
With the flatbed. And it's got the car on the back. And Carvana's done an excellent job using these big data models to figure out how they can increase their margins and deliver a user experience that is transparent and makes people feel good about the buying process.
Yeah, it's less than 10 minutes. You can actually buy a vehicle, which is our second biggest purchase from a home, in less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, before, so when I went to go purchase my Subaru,
right,
the experience wasn't terrible, right? But it was just like a nightmare getting the insurance and these people together, and they have to make this call and fax this over and do this. And then I got to come back to the dealership, which is 55 minutes to an hour away, to go pick up the car, maybe 2 days later.
Right.
I want to do this in 10 minutes, and I want to sit in my house and have the car be dropped off. Mm-hmm. And if I don't like the car, come pick it up.
Especially COVID.
Yeah.
Made a big difference in this. And their stock went from $29, that was back in March, and now it's $280. So imagine their valuation now.
Yeah, and COVID it's a big driver because people are doing that home shopping. It's not like UPS is dropping your car off. Mm-hmm. They're doing that drop off. So there's a couple interesting system dynamics that Carvana takes in that really makes their business successful. But the first thing that I want to focus on, though, is not the buyer of the car, but the people selling the car to the buyer, and what Carvana actually did to make themselves efficient in that process. They don't really have the human capital of having sales guys in a bunch of lots.
Right.
Salespeople, right? I'll be gender neutral here. And when you look at that, in the buying and selling experience, there's two personalities that are coming together. So to find a cohesive match between those, that requires, there has to be some intellectual aptitude and emotional intelligence of the seller itself. And they need to be trained on that if they don't necessarily have it. And you got to hope that training and that match comes together and can align with what the buyer wants.
Right.
So Carvana's like, well, why don't we screw that? It's like, it's much easier for us not to hire these people and train them, but rather go in and redesign a user experience online that works for everybody, regardless of personality. Yes. That naturally in its efficiency means that people are going to feel good about the car buying experience because they don't have to mesh with the dude on the other side.
Yeah, and some people may be thinking, well, I would never buy a used car online. But there are a percentage of the population that will, and since everyone owns a car, especially here in the United States, since everyone owns one, that percentage of the population, what were they saying? It was like 400 million cars are sold. Not Carvana has sold it, but I think it's like total, it's 400 million used cars are sold a year.
Yeah.
And it's trillions of dollar industry.
Well, we buy new cars, they have to get shipped over here, and then someone's got, it's held on the lot, and you got to come in and then be like, hopefully someone can buy this thing.
Right.
but most of the cars get purchased, but people aren't just throwing away every car. Cars are being designed better. They're lasting longer. The used car market is only expanding.
Yes.
So what they figured is, and we know that in the used car market, there's higher margins for those sales.
Right.
Those used car salesmen, they crush it.
Yeah, and Carvana, their margins are even higher than, their biggest competitor is CarMax, which CarMax doubled down on brick and mortar.
Yeah, they did double down on brick and mortar, and Carvana's like, that's not the way to do it.
No, but what I thought was interesting is CEO's son and father, Garcia's, they live in Arizona.
Yeah.
They just made the Fortune 500 world's richest people. So obviously, this is working.
Yeah.
But they're disruptors, not only in the auto industry, but in understanding data science.
Yes.
And then understanding, and one of the things that he said, he's like, they always want to say, like, we have AI or we have machine learning or something. He's like, no, it's just a matter of getting the right data.
Yeah.
CEO is talking about this. It's just a matter of getting the right data and then having it be able to speak to us properly.
How many times?
How many times have we talked about that?
Dude, that's all we talk about. It's just obvious. And I'm glad they woke up to it, and you can see how successful a company can be when they acquire that right data. They have fantastic algorithms that go through and they analyze all these different data streams for wholesale auctions on cars, used cars. So like I gave the metaphor to you, it's a lot like, and this was off camera, honey. It's that online, application where you can put in whatever product you want and it'll track it online. And when that price drops, it's going to send you a notification.
Right.
Well, it's going to do the same thing in their system. They have like the honey for used auto sales, right? Oh, it got to the price that we're looking for. Let's take on that price. Let's execute on it. And as that runs, and then on the background, they're like, okay, we have this, we have the value, we brought it in. We know exactly how to sell it to people. We know how to funnel them into it, what they're looking for, because we've analyzed all those habits. And on top of that, we can also sell them a financial product. Because I don't have to sit here and kind of minutiae it with the person, say, give me this information, give me that. We can collect more financial data points and underwrite that person on a car loan online much faster than a dude could sit there in the financing department and go through all the paperwork and say, I have 5 different vendors. I think this one works best for you.
Right, exactly. And then that process of emailing back and forth and where they've worked with DocuSign and all these other, they have in-house financing that helps. Because a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of touch points, especially in the auto industry. Just being when you purchase a car from an auction and then having your facility, whether you're at a dealership, whatever it may have, there's a price that service department, and I imagine Carvana has their own.
Yeah.
But they can charge per that amount of how much it's going to cost, because they could, even after they buy the car from auction, they could put $1,000, $1,500 to make the car legit to sell. You know what I mean? They're not just taking them from the auctions.
No, because Carvana has to say, okay, well, we have to guarantee what we bought.
Right, yeah. And so
they have to go through all these different cars with whatever, 16-point check or 100-point check, whatever it might be.
But they know, and they're purchasing cars from people directly now on Carvana. They've been asking people to put their information and try to purchase them directly and then pick the car up.
Yeah.
But they know that Cadillac Escalade that they purchased in Michigan, they can move it to Scottsdale or Miami and make $8,000 more.
Yeah,
their algorithm's telling them that.
It tells them where can we get the highest, price
exactly,
for this thing.
So, but what I love is that they said that they're a tech company first, a data company, and then they sell cars. And we've talked about this.
All companies are tech companies.
Yes.
And if you're
I want businesses to understand this.
And if you're not, you're going to be lagging in the industry and you're going to phase yourself out.
Yes, exactly. And this just shows what disruption can happen. And we've talked about decentralization. We've talked about, we're seeing right now instability in cryptocurrency, but it's figuring itself out.
Yeah, no, it's totally figuring itself out. And, to touch on decentralization, I had sort of a philosophical thought on that. We can create all the decentralized technologies in the world. Create them all. But unless an individual chooses to decentralize their life, which means they choose to take responsibility over things, that's when the system works. When people are like, I want to take responsibility over my finance, well, that's when I adopt Bitcoin, or blockchain cryptocurrency. That is the important part. You can create whatever you want online that is decentralized, but unless an individual decides to take self-responsibility, rather than I'm going to offload my labor and my liability to someone else, it'll never work. It's a psychological change that has to happen in society for them to use a decentralized technology.
So they would have to feel safe to take that responsibility.
They need to feel safe to take that responsibility, and it has to be so low labor for them to do so.
Yes.
So we can create all we want, but if it doesn't work with a human being, it's nothing will ever come of it.
Yeah. So Dogecoin.
Yeah.
With your little cute,
Everybody likes their Shiba Inus, the Dogecoin.
How can you make the experience simple?
What I want to know is what type of car would a Shiba Inu buy?
What type of car? I think it would buy. Well, it's Japanese, right?
Yeah, so it's maybe a Subaru, maybe a Mazda.
Yeah, a Toyota, Honda.
Yeah, no, Toyota. You know what? The Dogecoin, Toyota Supra.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Easily.
He could be driving.
Or Honda Mugen 2000, you know?
I got to tweet them because I follow them on Twitter.
Yeah.
So they're always posting stuff. Of course, here lately they've been posting about, because Elon Musk shouted them out.
Right.
You know, so they've been posting about that.
Well, let me ask you something. You know, all the money in the world, what type of car would you have?
Me?
Yeah.
So, okay. I worked
Whatever
for,
you want to
so
transport
I worked
yourself.
for Mazda, so I love Mazda. They're a great car for value. You know, if you're looking at a car that has, and they're more luxurious than people think they are, but they're still got a great price. So that would be my practical. If I wasn't going practical, I would probably do a G-Wagon AMG, like fully loaded, like 150, 180,000.
Yeah, no, that's
Because I love them. I mean, they're like truly off road.
They have
even though they're
phenomenal
like fancy, but
all-wheel drive system. Yeah, and they are nice. You know, if you want to be in your full haute couture and then rip across the sub-Saharan dune, you have your G-Wagon.
Yeah, plus I feel like I could put like some big medallions on.
yeah,
and then go to LA. And,
they got great headlights though on the G-Wagon.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful. I like that. They have like this matte, flat gray color.
Yeah.
Oh, this looks awesome.
So that's your prime idea of transport. That's what it would be.
Yeah. Yours is you're purchasing yours.
Yeah, no, and that's I mean, like I'm saying, if I had all the cash in the world, you know,
I'm not into like Bugattis and like super fast.
I don't want fast.
I'm not into fast.
I like utilitarian.
Yeah.
I like aerodynamics, but utilitarian.
Yeah, like I would be concerned like what would survive an apocalyptic.
I can tell you right now what would. Something that gets you off the ground.
Yeah, you would need something. Have you seen those?
So hold on, let me think. What is quick, aerodynamic, gets you off the ground, and doesn't require fossil fuels? Extraterrestrial craft. I know exactly what I would do if I had all the money in the world. I'd go find one of those things and fly it around.
Well, or you could just go to
just bomb out.
No, yeah, you could go to the Colorado base or
yeah, I'm gonna go
the
to
Utah
Dulce.
base.
I'm gonna go to Dulce up here.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna go
You
down.
could probably walk in there and grab one.
Yeah, guys, can I borrow this?
I don't know if you're 3 fingers.
Let me
with
tell you
your
something.
5.
If they let me borrow that for 1 second, they'd never see it again. I can tell you right now, gonzo.
Yeah, the magnetic pulse distortions.
Yeah, just gone. And the thing just like lifts up. I'm out.
Yeah, I always wondered about that, you know, because I was watching a whole documentary on what aliens would look like, you know, that aren't carbon based.
This is fun.
Yeah, so
what would they look like?
Yeah, but then it was showing like a lot of biomechanical,
so like
where they were integrated with machinery.
Oh, like a cyborg state?
Yeah, and so it was really interesting to see what the machine and how a machine, because we don't really do much with machines and biology.
No, so yeah, you look at carbon-based life. This is very interesting concept, and we're totally side noting here, but I enjoy this. If say your artificial intelligence truly becomes an artificial intelligence, and then it starts to assemble things in a strictly mechanical format, it's a non-carbon-based life form at that point. Mm-hmm. It begins to think. And what if it begins to like hatch things or grow things? Maybe then it starts to blend in, you know, some function of organic material into it. Maybe it realizes that they've understood the quantum state that's happening within DNA, which MIT has talked about, especially with their quantum computing with the 420 rule. Not that type of 420, but yeah, I think that's interesting. What would it look like? How would it efficiently design itself?
Well, I mean, and also when you think about it, like DNA actually running through steel beams, you know, and then being able to communicate.
Don't you get me so amped up right now?
No, but I mean, that's what we don't do. We separate biology from structures and things that we build.
Yeah, why can't we fuse them?
Yeah, why couldn't we have a building that grows with the seasons?
That is so cool.
You see what I'm saying?
That is so cool.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
I mean, think about it. And we're going to be doing an episode on this with, like you just mentioned, the algorithms.
Yeah,
it should be a few.
That quantum computing one.
Yeah.
Out of Bell Labs.
Yeah, which was amazing.
What type of car would an extraterrestrial drive? Not a UFO. Do you think they assume that there was extraterrestrials and they're looking at us? Do you think we'd look funny? Like, why do they have 4? They keep redesigning these cars, but the thing that doesn't change is the tire.
Yeah,
like you have this almost rectangular tire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you think about it, the structure looks rectangular. And all it is friction on a surface. They're like, that is so dangerous.
But we've tried. I mean, since Henry Ford, we've tried to redesign the automobile with hydrogen and all these different things, and we're still struggling with electric.
Yeah.
We've tried with what I think is funny. This is a funny thing for design. When was the last time someone's changed the way the toilet works? It's the same. No one's disrupted the toilet industry. What was happening in the 1800s? Think about how much has changed from the 1800s to now. It's the same design.
It's a pot with a pipe now.
Yeah, yeah. It may look differently, a pig with lipstick on it, but the fundamentals are still. There's still a chain with the flapper in it.
Yeah, that's.
And we're at what? And we've invented Facebook and
all this other stuff. But disposing of human waste is just such a rudimentary.
Yeah, you would think Dyson or somebody would come in and.
You know what? I'm going to start buying data on toilets and how people use the toilet.
Right. I know, like, we don't use it here in the United States. I mean, I have one, but I mean, you can get them for less than $100.
Bidets?
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
They're fantastic. And I don't understand why more people here in the United States doesn't use them. And I know our global population, they're in the U.S.
have had just like a social thing against it.
Yeah.
You know, they think it's like weird, like and gross, and like it's only a European thing.
Right. But I heard in Japan they have amazing, like, people like
one with the huge clickers and
stuff. Yeah. There's like probably all kinds of technology geared toward. But what if that was biological? You know what I mean? I mean, obviously we're getting rid of human waste.
You're saying, like, what if I went to the bathroom in like a Venus flytrap?
Yeah, and then it consumed it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and then we looked at. I know right now we're seeing, like, where I'm from in Washington State, there's an actual park that is made out of gray water and human waste, and there's fish in the water, and it's all super clean, you know?
Yeah.
But they made the park, instead of just having this big concrete, and we're going way off topic here, instead of having this big concrete, like, pond, they decided to make the pond more natural and then plant trees and have, you know, where you could walk around it.
That's cool.
But they said you could almost drink the water because it's just been, you know, filtered. It's been filtered so good. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, honestly, that's what it is. And that's what we got to look at. I mean, they have composting toilets now.
Yeah, and we're going to do an episode on how they design cities, and that should be interesting. But we're just so removed. Like, we feel like we have to overpower nature.
Don't.
Like, we're dude.
You're pulling at my heartstrings.
I know. From the Industrial Revolution on, you know, from the early 1900s on, we've been trying to fight nature
all the time.
And at TARTLE,
we'll
close this episode with this. At TARTLE, we want to do what?
We want to work with nature.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't want to design around it or force it to move around us. We want to move with its flow.
Because you're going to lose.
You're going to lose every time.
Yeah, you could invent Clorox. But then where does that Clorox go?
Yeah, what happens after it's been used and you've poured it in your washing machine or down your toilet?
And they found that enzyme cleaners work a hell of a lot better than Clorox bleach.
Yeah, like why are you doing these things that harm nature? And we've designed something for one of the most natural things around, human beings.
Yes. So I to close it out, Alex, and maybe you can speak to this with TARTLE on a serious note. TARTLE has took the responsibility to, when we know data is the new gold.
Yep.
And it's going to be the new way that the world will create its value from, is the data that we're all creating, because there's 9 billion of us creating this. How can we, as TARTLE users, and what does it mean for TARTLE when we look at these biggest issues in the world, whether it be climate change, whether it be, you know, employment, whether it be birth rates, whatever it may be? How does TARTLE in and of itself look at these issues and then turn around and say, we're here, we're going to take this responsibility, and we're going to help mankind, humanity?
We touched on self-responsibility earlier. All these major issues that we're facing were caused by what?
Man.
us.
Yes.
We are our own worst enemy most of the time in a majority of our problems, unless an asteroid strikes this Earth. So we, as the progenitor of our crises, can also be the people, the collective that solve it. But that's a matter of us all coming together to focus on these major things that are facing us.
Right.
As a species. Because over 99% of the species that have touched this planet have gone extinct. Over 99%. Of one that shows up, disappears, gone, bye, see you later. Are we special? I don't think so.
No.
But if we want to preserve the longevity of us as a species on this, this wonderful globe, we need to focus on what those things are. And TARTLE will allow us as a collective to focus on that thing and deliver information towards solving those problems that we caused in the first place. That is something that is elevating all of us. That is something that is evolutive to our own nature. We need to evolve. We need to evolve out of these problems, and that requires focus, self-responsibility, and sharing of information so that we can know this is how we're going to manage it, and this is how we're going to manage ourselves so that we don't run into the same problems again. And that can be done with our tool. That's the point of TARTLE. And again, TARTLE didn't solve the issue. It's humanity coming together using that tool to solve the issue together. We're not the winner. You're the winner. And we're just gearing everybody up to win against these things that are currently making us the losers.
And when we look at TARTLE and we see 9 billion people signed up, let's pretend that every single person is signed up.
It gets me amped up.
I know, yeah. And then we look at this data being exchanged buyer seller, and we look at the amount of capital we have available to be able to help humanity.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like?
At that point, the system, we had always designed it from the beginning so that the system is not here to make the largest profit in the world. It's not to be the richest system. What it is it's supposed to create a cash flow that can be given back. It can pay back towards that system, that we can help with technologies, design, research, donations into these causes that are truly important, right? We can help give back to these people. Maybe in the future, if this thing, is really ripping and rolling and there are 9 billion people, we can issue a stimulus payment just through TARTLE. Wouldn't that be cool?
Mm-hmm.
We can elevate the entire world economy where like everybody every single month gets $100.
Yeah, and I know your vision has been to do like micro loans and help small business all across the globe.
Yeah.
To get maybe a single mom that may be in Indonesia to have a stand, or maybe she's selling online, and creating these objects and being able to get her off the ground, and then we see the power of these micro loans and what it can happen to elevate, employment.
Yeah. And if you don't need to issue things on interest because the cash flow, it already covers the risk anyway, don't do it. If you can really, truly give to people, if you can create economic gain for them, if you can show them the power of the information they create and we can all reflect on it efficiently, what really more is there to do than that point? Because now we're learning from ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We're acting upon that learning. And then as a race, we become, human race, we become extremely wise. And really finance is second to that. It may be one of those incentives to start now. Like, here's a key driver, blah, 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 blah. My incentive is to solve these global problems by unlocking the power that we all have as a collective that has frankly been ignored. That's what I'm looking at. But you may, as a person coming in like, well, I like the financial incentive. Well, whether you like that or you don't, it all ends up to the end of saying, well, this information is going to be used to solve greater problems. If your focus is on money, great. You're still having a larger systemic effect regardless.
Regardless, it's helping.
Yeah, regardless, it helps. Whatever your personal ambition is using the tool.
I love that. Well, let's close on that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to TARTLEcast with your hosts Alexander McKegg and Jason Rigby, where humanity steps into the future and source data defines the path. What's your data worth?